testosterone, we have a problem.
This is Outside the Manosphere, where two guys with zero credentials dive past the cliches of masculinity and try to become better friends by actually talking to each other. It's weirdly hard, but we're doing it anyway. Join us.
Welcome to Outside the Manosphere. I'm Skip.
And I'm Carlos.
How are you this week, Carlos?
This week, I'm perfectly fine. It's been a boring week. I don't have anything extra special to report. What about you?
Yeah, I'm getting better all the time. Yeah. So, I'm sitting down this week.
I was going to say, you're not standing and squirming around this time.
Giving it a shot. I've got it like a heating pad and stuff like that.
Yeah, so it's just been bothering you this whole time, huh?
I'm still working on it. Still waiting for that PT appointment. But I've been trying to do stuff and I've been exercising. So, whatever.
So when you do physical therapy, is it going to be like an ongoing thing? Or are you guys going to set it up something? Or he or she's just going to assess you or what?
No idea. I imagine it'll be ongoing for at least a while.
Yeah. Socialized medicine. That's what you get. You get help.
So, are you getting prepared? Are you wearing anything? Are you getting a costume ready for Halloween or anything?
Man, you know what? I'm sad to say that I feel like a small child in me has died because I used to love Halloween, man. Like as an adult, I used to love Halloween. Like, 'cause I would go all out. My sister and I would always compete with each other and do like who's got the better costume. I would always win, no big deal. Well, I guess we didn't always. We did a couple of years in a row, but yeah, no. So to answer your question, no, I haven't done anything. I just haven't had a lot of like time to think about it. But even so, like we don't have a ton of friends in New Brunswick. We're not invited anywhere, and like we're just gonna be standing at home opening doors, to Halloween kids and like costume or whatever, which is fun. That's a fun thing to do. But also like our dogs are like wild animals, and like anytime somebody comes to the door, they're just like ferocious. So it's just like
they're scary enough.
Yeah, it's just it's. I love the dogs. I'm so happy we have them. I'll be extraordinarily sad when they're gone, but like they definitely limit us into things we can enjoy. Yeah. And Halloween is one of them. But yeah, so no, I haven't really done anything. I haven't done anything at all. My wife bought a bunch of Halloween candy and proceeded to eat it all.
Nice.
I say my wife, whenever I talk about Jody, I always say my wife to like my coworkers because some of them know her, most of them don't. But I've never said my wife to you, I don't think. But yeah, anyway.
No,
Jody,
that was it. I was something that I actually noted. I was like, that was weird.
But yeah, anyway, she ate all the Halloween candy. I don't think she really listens to the show. She does occasionally, but we'll see. We'll see if she brings up this moment at some point in the future.
Well, I was going to ask you, since you said you always won your Halloween costume contests, what were some of your all-time hits?
Well, and that's why I think, maybe I was lying because I could think of one in particular, but so she was going to have a party and like she challenged me. She was like, we're going to have a Halloween costume like competition, like everyone at the party. So we'll give out like a prize or whatever. And she was like, I'm going to kick your ass. She's like, I got this costume. She tailored this costume to try to scare me. Because of that's just our relationship. And this is my younger sister. So she'd been like boasting about how she's got this costume and she's gonna like it's gonna blow mine out of the water. And I'm like, all right, whatever. So at her party, she was dressed. She had like a Linda Blair sort of like nightgown, like from The Exorcist. And she had bought like white contact lenses. So she had like zombie eyes. And she made herself a zombie because when I was younger, I always had like this weird fear of zombies.
Yeah.
Well, I guess
I don't know why you'd be afraid of zombies. They're friendly.
Remind me at some point to tell you my like epic. Maybe I have told you, but this epic display of cowardice. When I realized, wow, I actually have a real zombie problem. I'll let you know at some point. But anyway, so at her party, she was dressed as a zombie, and it was a good costume. She had like who wears contact lenses at a for Halloween. So she did a good job.
Yeah.
But I made my own stilts. So I like went online and I found out how to make stilts, and I like drilled and screwed together and I belted together the straps, and I was probably I was about 8 feet tall. No, maybe about 7 feet tall. I wasn't that big, but and I was like practicing walking on them. It was actually a lot of fun. And then I bought like these sort of like velvety black curtains, and then I sewed them together and made like a cloak. And then I bought a pole from Home Depot or wherever, and I made like a scythe, like, you know, like for like a farming scythe with a huge blade.
Yeah.
And I was deaf. I didn't dress up in any other way. I just I got the stilts and the robe, like I'm deaf. I didn't bother with like a skull cap or anything like that.
Right.
So yeah, I was this big tall dude with a big plasticky weapon, and got a lot of people taking pictures of me. And like, I remember at my sister's party, her friend was like, "Your family is scary." But then, like, a funny thing was, so I got all this attention because I was so tall and like forced attention to myself. Right. And after a while, I'm like, you know what? It's really awesome walking on stilts when you're walking, but when you're standing still, I was just there like wobbling. Like it was hard to. Right. It was hard it was hard to stand still on stilts. So halfway through the night, I took them off, and I went from being a badass to being like, oh, everyone here's taller than me. So that's how that night ended for me. But anyway, so what about you? Any Halloween things for you?
Well, I'm not dressing up, which I feel the same way because I was a huge Halloween fan. Not even that long ago, I was super big into Halloween. Our youngest has a costume that he's made himself, and I helped him with like a little part of it, but he wanted to be a character from his own comic that he writes. So nobody will know who he is.
That is so funny.
He'll enjoy it, and you know that's what matters. But it wasn't too long ago we were going full out. It's just like, it's there's just too much stuff going on all the time.
Right.
We'd just be walking around with the kid. We're not going to like, you know, a thing. So we'll see. Maybe I'll get a last minute jump on something. Yeah, and then we're doing trick-or-treating this Thursday. So our little social butterfly is having a Halloween party ahead of time where just like a couple friends will come over for like an hour before, and then we'll all go trick-or-treat together, even though it's not really a thing here, but there's like a local organization
that does it.
An organized effort to have trick-or-treating around here.
Well,
so we do that.
So when I left there, 10 years ago, it was kind of budding there. Like people were getting interested in. Is it not grown much more since then?
I mean, it's around, but no trick or treating isn't common because like how would you even do it like unless because you know you'd go all the buildings are buildings with apartments and stuff like that. Right. So everybody'd have to get in on it. So there's like a expat expat organized trick-or-treat in our neighborhood where like you donate to charity and you get a map of all the places that are doing it and they wait out front. So it's fun. It's on the 23rd this year, which is not the most Halloween-y of times, which is also a Thursday. So it's like really bad timing, but whatever. We're going to do it and it'll be fun. It'll be a good time.
I'm sure all of his friends are Czech too, right? So it'll be like a fun
mostly,
yeah. Yeah, that'll be cool. I was going to say something else though about Halloween oh yes, so the Czech Republic has their own sort of little version of it, but it's closer to Christmas time. The Mikuláš and the so correct me if my memory isn't serving me, but that's where you have like the sort of the basis of Santa Claus, the Saint Nicholas, the original Saint Nicholas guy. You have they're usually like young teenagers. One dresses like Mikuláš, which is, you know, Nicholas in Czech. And then another dresses as an angel, usually a girl. And then another dresses as like a demon. And they dress like in coal black makeup, curly reddish hair. And then they're in like hooves if they can. And they walk around as a trio. And they ask for candy, right? Isn't that how they do it there?
No. They ask for a song. They ask for a song, and the kids have to have a memorized poem or a song, and then they get candy. But the chariots, the demons, they actively try and scare kids. Like they carry around chains and shake them and stuff. I remember the first year that I was here for that, and I came out onto like the main square, Wenceslas Square, and it was like hundreds of demons and like a couple angels and a Saint Nicholas. And man, like kids are screaming, kids are screaming and crying, and the parents are like, ha 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 ha, hilarious. You know?
Yeah. So I don't know if I told you this. I feel like I must have at some point in our friendship, but I don't know if I told you this on microphone. So I apologize to anyone who this is a familiar story. But when I first arrived there, I was working at a preschool, and I mentioned before, it was just like, oh, you're American, you're hired, sort of thing. Like no background checks or anything. Yeah. So when is the Mikuláš? That's in early November.
5th of December, I believe. Yeah, it's because it's Saint Mikuláš Day.
So yes. So I had never experienced the holiday, and the preschool that I was working at was like connected to an elementary / high school where they all the grades up to high school. So they had some high school kids come to the preschool dressed as Mikolash and the demon and the angel, and it was a boy and 2 boys and a girl. And I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what was going on. They just kind of like this was happening. We were just standing there. These kids, they were all about 4 years old, right? A little older, a little younger. They were so the mythology behind it is they ask for a song, the kids sing a song, and they get a candy.
Yeah.
And I think the angel gives them. I think Mikolash asks for the song, the angel gives them a candy, and if they're bad, the angel will put them in a potato sack or whatever and drag them to hell.
The demon, the
demon, sorry, The demon will take them away into hell. Like that's the punishment.
Right. Yeah, it's basically Krampus. People are probably more familiar with Krampus.
Yeah, that's exactly. Yeah. But that's the layout, right? And so when this happened, these kids were all, they all clap, get all their attention. They were all sitting down, and Mikolash is coming, and you better know a song, and this and this.
Mm-hmm.
And these kids were absolutely terrified. I mean, like real fear. Like I remember some of them when they were singing, their voices were like quavering. They were so afraid that they were going to be dragged to hell, and like the demon would was like hovering over them and like scaring them.
Oh yeah,
and man, the teachers were just like all smiles. They were so happy to see the kids so terrified.
They're like, get that one right there.
And it's so funny because these kids are the demons are essentially like in blackface. Like they're full, like they're to their eyelids, to their nostrils, they're covered in like shoe polish. You know what I mean? They're like, I mean, that's not what it is, but they paint their skin like a black, like they're trying
black
to
and sometimes red and
reddish tones. And anyway, so while this was happening, I remember I was watching, and the demon looked right at me. And he smiled big, and he had a mouthful of braces. I'm like, that is so funny. He must have been like 14 or something.
Yeah, sounds like a lot of fun for a teenager to go in and scare a bunch of 4-year-olds.
They were loving it, specifically the demon. He was having the best time.
Yeah.
So Halloween's coming up, and I guess when this show releases, it'll be closer to November, I think.
It'll be 2 days. It'll be October 29th. Yeah. So I wanted to bring something back that we haven't done in a while, which is communique from the Manosphere.
Okay.
And I went and found this list of the worst alpha male tips, which just, screams Manosphere and has so much promise. And I figured that we could just tackle one of these every once in a while. The first one is real men don't eat salad, the all meat diet.
You know what? When you posited this to do, I'm like, I haven't read this. I don't know what these 9 are. I'm like, I really hope that this isn't like 5 of these characteristics are mine. But
no,
the real salad. No. I'm okay. So far, we're good.
Yeah. So I'll read you a quote. I bet this is from a Reddit Ask Men subreddit, I guess, thread. It says, I once ordered a salad and a water with some lemon and got razzed endlessly by the guys who were with me. Apparently, it is not a manly meal. Joke's on them. I was the only one among them who didn't have a beer belly and probably artery disease. The number of guys who thinks it's unmanly to eat vegetables is insane.
That's funny.
And there are people famously, like there's the liver guy, the crazy
the liver king, I think. Is that what he is?
The liver king.
Yeah. I don't know anything about that guy other than he's a big meathead, literally, and he's a star. That's all I know about him.
Yeah, and I think he got in some beef with another Manosphere person, maybe Joe Rogan or something.
It was Joe Rogan. Yes.
It was. Yeah.
He was challenging him to a fight or something.
Yeah, it's just this ridiculous corner that we often are delving in.
Which I don't mean to go off on a tangent, but it's funny. Yeah. Like this dude who was ripped. I mean, he's a very muscular guy. Yeah. But like, I'm assuming he's not a trained fighter. He doesn't look like one. And Joe Rogan is. So like, why would you bother like challenging a trained martial artist to a fight? I mean, I guess it's a publicity thing, but like, he's gonna get his ass kicked by anybody who probably Mark Zuckerberg, who's like a black belt in judo.
That would be quite the thing to see.
That would be.
And I guess there's Jordan Peterson, who is another famous Manosphere guy, also talked about a meat-only diet. And like these things are largely possible, like nutritionally. They're not great for you, but our body is like we're omnivorous and we can survive with mostly meat. It's not great for you. It has all kinds of problems for heart health and things like that. But Yeah, just the idea that it's unmanly to eat vegetables. And I'll admit, for a long time, I didn't eat a lot of vegetables because I was really picky when I was young.
But that was a taste choice. That wasn't like
it was a taste choice.
Right.
Yeah. No, and I would always say, like, I wish I could just make broccoli taste like pizza, and I'd eat broccoli all the time. I still wish that because broccoli's just horrid to me.
Oh, I love it. I love broccoli. Since I was a kid, I love broccoli.
I think that the Manosphere, it's like there's and we'll get to this later because we're going to talk about Movember, and one of the things that they focus on is mental health and suicide prevention and stuff. There's such a desperation in a lot of men that they reach out and make these crazy connections because they're just desperate for something to make their lives make sense or meaningful or put them on the right track. But like the idea that eating only meat is going to, I don't know, make you super manly and your life go on the right track and people will like you and things like that are kooky.
I feel like it's more of that, like that analogy of like the bucket of crabs and one crab tries to get out and all the other crabs pinch it and pull it back down. I feel like it's kind of more something like that. Like anytime you're like attacking somebody, even like with jest, under the guise of jest, you're really just insecure about your own way of being, and you don't want these people to sort of self-actualize and get away, because then you're one less and you're reminded of like your own failures. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's what the whole, oh, this guy's eating a salad. These guys with beer bellies and probably clogged arteries are making fun of this guy who's actually eating something healthy and they're not.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, because they don't like salad, and you don't have to like salad, but like, you know, let your friend eat a fucking salad if that's what they want to eat.
I guess it's a kind of this mindset, which is so prevalent in the Manosphere of a zero-sum game where somebody has to win and somebody has to lose. So if somebody else is doing well, that means you're the loser.
Right,
you know?
right. That's an American way of looking at it too.
Yeah. So if you're not the healthy guy, if you're not the trim guy, then you know that makes you the loser, and pulling them back down into the muck makes you at least on a level with them.
You know, what's funny about that, and to reiterate that it is an American thing, and it's probably changed since then, but I used to work with a woman from Greece, and she was much older than me. Not much older, probably 15-ish years. But she was an unhappy person. But I remember her ranting to me once about how she was teaching at the college and I was just tutoring there. But we were both working in the tutoring center because she, like her part-time gig was to tutor there. Anyway, she had said when she had arrived to the U.S., I don't know, X amount of years before, she had encountered the word loser. And I guess it was a complete idiom at the time. Like, I don't know if there's anything now, but like she didn't understand the concept of like when someone called another person a loser.
Yeah,
she didn't understand what that meant. Like, what does that mean? Like, they're not. What are they losing? You know what I mean? Like, she couldn't wrap her mind around what that meant, and it really left an impression
like
on me.
Outside of a game context.
Yeah, outside of a contest or something like that. Yeah, she couldn't understand. Like, what do you mean you're a loser at what? And it's like, when you think about that, like, what are they losing at exactly? You call somebody a loser, they're losing at life, I guess. You know, who's winning? Who's winning at life? You know, the person with the most money.
Charlie Sheen.
Yeah. But yeah, man, that's the thing is it's either you're exactly right. You're either a winner or you're a loser. And unfortunately, like, yeah, I have largely, after that conversation, this was 20 years ago, I have largely eliminated the word loser from my vocabulary when talking about other people. Like, I don't think that that's healthy, and I don't think that that's fair, and I think it's just a shitty thing to do, to say to somebody, like, you're a loser.
Yeah.
I don't even joke. Like, even with self-deprecation, I don't call myself a loser. You know what I mean? I don't call friends losers. I don't call anybody a loser. I think it's an ugly thing. And anyway, all that's to reiterate, yeah, I do feel like this is an American mindset, the whole winning and losing thing.
Sure, yeah. You know, you were talking about how even if it's just as razzing, and you had mentioned previously last week about roasting in your family.
Yeah.
And how you were trying to cut down on that. And that's definitely something, like, when you said that, I was like, oh, we do that in my family. Like, that's something I've always done with, like, my family, with my friends. Like, it was always, and it bears saying that, like, that comes from my dad's side, which is also from Texas. And like, it's just, and like some good friends of mine, one of the guys that I got along with when I was like 20 at work was another Texan guy who'd just say ornery things.
Yeah.
And like, I always liked it and I've always enjoyed that. But there is a bit of that crab pulling the other crabs down into the muck, I suppose. I think there is context to it. I think that you can do it in a healthy way. And I still do enjoy being razzed and razzing others. But, you were focusing on your niece, your young niece. And it made me think, because we've always razzed our kids. And I was like, maybe we shouldn't razz our kids quite so much.
well, in the defense of that, so when my niece was young, I guess like I said, I'm not there on a day-to-day basis. I've never been, so I don't know. I mean, I do know it at this point, but like at the time, I didn't really understand like what the relationship with her was. And so when I would tease her, I don't think she'd encountered that before. She hadn't had somebody like teasing her. And I remember my sister would have to tell her like, oh, he's just teasing you. It's how he shows his love. And she had to explain like, don't worry, he loves you. He's not mad at you. And so I that made me aware of it. I'm like, okay, she's sensitive and I don't want to hurt her feelings, but like I still do it. But she does it back to me now. Like she has like thickened her skin.
There you go.
She can laugh and she punches back, which is, I think you need that, because there aren't a lot of like super enlightened people that aren't going to like throw flowers at you for daily life. And she's got to be prepared for that kind of thing. And the kids have to prepare for that thing. So there's something to it. I think I'm not mean about it anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like when I was younger, I was like relentless and just like, not cruel or anything, but like,
right.
Yeah, my friends and I would tear each other down, and my family, we would tear each other down. And I don't do that like to the degree that I used to. And I tease Jody all the time, and she teases me back. And when she teases me back, I laugh. I love it. I think it's so funny when she does, because like she doesn't always do it. You know what I mean? And when she does, I'm like, that's the response. That's how you handle a bully. Is you punch back. You know what I mean? It's always funny to me.
Yeah, I always teach my kids, especially being well, I mean, our youngest is technically a native, but people in his class still don't view him that way,
right?
As a native Czech, and like they get crap and they get bullying periodically, and I always tell them like the best way to deal with it is humor, and like just laugh at the other person. It takes away all the power. But I feel like when we do that at home, it's not to take away power. It's to have fun. But probably we could dial it back a little bit as well.
Yeah. And I don't think it's unhealthy. I think it's when there's a good family dynamic, I think it's perfectly fine, as long as they know what's going on and you're not making them cry or something like that. I think it's fine.
Yeah. But we started all this with a guy being razzed about eating a salad. And there's this just kind of wild flailing in the manosphere of trying to hook onto things that will make you more manly or make you an alpha or whatever. And I think, in the context of this, being the person that's willing to do something on their own and like strike out and be different, that's the manly version, right? It's not caving to peer pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as I've gotten older, like I would not eat salads when I was younger. I didn't. I'd call them water shapes because I was just like, they're mostly water. There's nothing,
That's so funny.
Yeah. And as I've gotten older, my body is like changed. And it's like, yes, give me a salad now.
Give me those water shapes.
Yeah.
Well, I think this is a worthy article from Upworthy of returning to. Maybe next time we'll go one by one. That way we don't talk for 3 hours about the worst parts of masculinity. So that was number 1. Tune in next time for number 2.
I also had a nomination for Man of the Week this week. Something that's been popping up, advertised on various podcasts that I listened to or mentioned, is The Optimist from the Washington Post. And, I don't listen to it, but I've had some of them end up like as guest features on other things or talking about it. And I think it's just nice to have a place that you can go to for good news. And admittedly, the woman reporter that I listened to, she said like 95% of their stories are about dogs and pets. But it's nice to have nice news and to have a place that you can go for that. So just in these trying times, I just wanted to give a shout out to The Optimist as the Man of the Week.
Yeah.
Whether it's a man or a podcast or whatever it is. just kind of like that idea.
Yeah, you had sent me a specific episode, and we won't go into depth because we're already going over here, but a specific episode on choosing happiness, and my takeaway from that was like, wow, Skip's like that, like he's absorbing that sort of like optimistic mentality, and it was really. It was almost a joy for me that I really hadn't considered, but yeah, it was nice. It was nice to see that, man. That's like, that's important. And that's like the way you think will shape your waking reality. You know what I mean? Like how you feel about your everyday is going to affect how you are. And that's what that show was all about. And I was really glad to see you listen to it. And it was really validating in a lot of ways because we've talked about a lot of these things. And yeah, it was nice to hear, nice to listen to. So yeah, The Optimist. I don't know if it was from the Washington Post or just a snippet of it, but The Optimist is the podcast.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and you know, I'm not completely there yet, but I'm trying. Like it's hard to change. That's sort of like, I don't want to say your true north, but you've got your kind of like inertia, and trying to change that inertia is difficult. But
it is.
They do talk about stuff in the podcast I sent you, and I guess I'll tag that on here about doing that. And they're all things that you have lauded and told me to do, and I try to do.
You have tried. Yeah. And I will say though, regarding it being hard to change, because I was thinking about it while I was listening to that episode, and for me, it's really hard to explain without going woo woo, and I won't. But like, it wasn't hard for me because it was really hard until it wasn't hard. But like I said before, I was having such a hard time in life, just like my attitude and my endeavors, everything sucked. Like, just really was hard. And then I had mentioned the sound technology that I was meditating with that I just kind of picked up and started doing it. And it was like a hard pivot. It's like I was on my heel and suddenly I was facing another direction. And like a bolt of lightning, I went forward. And it never, all my obstacles cleared. And it was like almost overnight, man. It was like, I don't know how to describe it without sounding like I'm like supernatural or anything, but it was it was a big easy change for me.
Well, I feel like one of the things, and correct me if I'm wrong because it didn't happen to me, but one of the things like that you've talked about and that I think about is like, you're not ready for this change until you're ready for it. And
absolutely,
you'd probably done a lot of work that I would metaphorically call like infrastructure. Like you were working on things within yourself to get you to a place where you could be healthy. Because you can't, it's that thing. It's hard until you kind of are set up for success. And I think sometimes that success comes from long difficulties trying to kind of align yourself with that path. Sometimes that success comes from failing miserably at something and getting up and being like, I don't want to do that again. and it makes it easier to just be like, well, I'm not going to do what I was doing before.
Yeah.
So like, I think there's things that are kind of latently going on in your mind or your body or your chakra or whatever, that like you're waiting to align with the path that's healthier.
I completely agree. And I guess my only, not even a pushback, my only caution with that is, and I'm not saying this is your case, but for anybody who's listening and sort of identifying with either side, is that's true. Like I may have been laying the groundwork. I mean, I definitely was, but that isn't a barrier to anyone else who wants to make a change. You know what I mean? Like they can make that because they're laying the groundwork right now. You are laying the groundwork for your changes. I'm laying the groundwork right now for my future changes. Like we're doing it right now, whether we want to or not, or realize it or not. I guess my concern would be anybody listening would say, oh, well, that's why I can't do this thing because he was primed and he was ready at that moment to do it. And I have to wait until I'm primed, until I'm ready. Right. I have to wait. And I can't do this until this metric is met. And, that's all. I think it's always easy to, and I'm not saying this is what you're doing, but it's always easy to sort of like explain away a success. You know what I mean? Or to have a reason why this isn't going to work in my case, because, well, we're different people and my situation was different than yours. It's easy to say, well, that was him and I'm a totally different person and this isn't going to work for me. And here's why it's not going to work for me. You know what I mean? Like we'd said before, like that was a big problem I had with like a lot of my students in the Czech Republic is I would say, you can do this. And they would say, no, I can't. And here's why. And I would argue with people. I'm like, dude, yes, you can do it. They're like, no, but A, B, and C, this is why I can't. I'm like, yes, you can. They're like, no, I can't. And I was like, okay, well, I guess this conversation's over. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing you can do for someone who thinks it's impossible. So anyway, my point is not for you necessarily or anybody else, just anybody listening who has something that seems insurmountable, just start. You know what I'm saying? Like, just go for it, and you'll find your way through it. Like I think that's true for everyone.
Yeah. And I think all those things, even if they're false starts, like you're saying, all those things are moving you in the right direction.
Definitely.
So
definitely.
maybe you're not ready for this big, positive, healthy change, but all those things are the things that lead you there. So, I always think about it in terms of mathematics, and it doesn't matter how small, like if you're trying to fill up a jar, it doesn't matter how small a grain of sand you use. Eventually, if you keep adding sand in there, that jar's going to fill up.
All right, Skip. Well, we are quite a ways into our show today. I think if it's okay with you, we're going to forego falling in love because we have a much, not greater topic, but we have an important topic to discuss, and that is Movember.
Yeah, that sounds good. There's only 36 love questions, and we
got to stretch them out.
We're running out.
So, Movember. That is a term that I've heard for, I guess almost 20 years now.
Yeah.
It's something that I have a loose understanding of, a little more now because I was kind of looking into it this morning. But it's something I've always been interested in participating in. I have just never done it because I always didn't feel informed enough. And this might be the first year that I am a little more informed, and I think I might go for it. But why don't you tell us what Movember is?
So yeah, this is a charity that is centered around men's health, and it started in Australia, I believe, and it was built around bringing attention to men's health problems because men die on average 6 years earlier than women by preventable things. There's a lot of things that are some are very specific, like prostate and testicular cancer, but men also have a higher prevalence of mental health and suicides. Apparently, a man commits suicide every minute. Every minute of the day. So yeah, 60 men in an hour. And that's just, it's an indication of a lot of things that aren't right and are where people need help. And I think a lot of that stems from, not having positive outlets for things like we do, where we're talking and creating connection and stuff like that. Obviously not the prostate cancer, but the mental health and suicide prevention. So yeah, the way that it works is, or the way that it started was men growing mustaches for the month of November as kind of a way to bring attention in sort of a silly way that starts a conversation, because there aren't a lot of people sporting just mustaches anymore.
Right. Or at least when they started this, because they're getting their moment in the sun now, I think.
Yeah. They're coming back ironically.
Yeah, they
are. But there aren't a lot of people just sporting mustaches. And it is a conversation starter, and that may be why they're coming back ironically as well.
Yeah, maybe so.
Yeah, so I want to put a question to you. There were things you said. I put this on our list because I was thinking that I was going to ask you to do it with me for the month of Movember, but you've already said you were thinking about doing it. So
I've been thinking about it for years, and now that I know you want to do it, I guess I'm in. I guess this is going to happen.
So my follow-up question is, do we have to shave the rest of our beard and just have the mustache? I have no idea how this works.
Well,
I knew about the charity, but I don't know how this works.
I think we can do it as we please. But what I was thinking I was going to do back before I knew that I had a partner in this is I was going to keep some scruff, but I was going to like really bulge out the mustache, and that's how I was going to do, because I don't look good clean shaven. I never really have, and now I'm an older man. I'm getting some jowls, and what better way to hide that than with a beard? So I was going to keep a little bit of scruff and just have like a prominent mustache. I have a question for you though. Have you ever grown? Well, I know you've grown. Have you ever sported fashionably a mustache before?
No. Only, like, there have been times where I have shaved and, as a joke, kept a mustache for a day.
Right.
Or I did the Hulk Hogan thing for a Halloween.
Uh-huh.
I went as a douchebag.
Really? That was your costume?
That was my costume. I had a big I just wore a trash bag and I had a handlebar mustache. Or not a handlebar mustache, but the Hulk Hogan, the Fu Manchu, whatever it is. I'm not sure. So I've done things jokingly, but no, it was like goatee or beard. And actually, when I was very young and I had like more of a beard than a mustache, I did just the chin fuzz with the no upper lip, which I look back at that now and it's like, for the most part, looking back, my fashion has never been where I'd be embarrassed. Like, where you look back at photos from the 70s and you're like, what were they thinking?
Yeah.
But that facial hair, that was a choice.
In my mind, I call that choice the Canadian.
Oh, yeah?
I feel like there's a lot of dudes here with that kind of like, I don't know. I won't say nerdy or just, I don't know, out of fashion. I don't know. There's something off-putting about that just chin hair. And I feel like I've seen a lot of that throughout the years in Canada.
So the thing I think that will be the hardest for me about this is I usually keep my mustache area pretty short because it starts to grow and like prick my upper lip and my lips get dried out and stuff like that. Do you have that problem? Is this like, I've never actually talked to other men about this.
Hey, this is important though, man. I do have that problem and I am not going to not trim for Movember. I'm going to keep my mustache nice and tidy because I don't like that, man. Like I've only let it grow. I've had my entire upper lip vanish from a mustache before, but it was also with a big beard as well.
Yeah.
And there's a point where if you let it grow long enough, you're just collecting soup, and and it's not a problem. It doesn't bother you anymore. But yeah, I don't like that. I don't like it like constantly irritating my upper lip. So I will be trimming that, but I'm going to grow the full mustache. I'll go for the month, and I'll let that happen. Oh man, it's going to be embarrassing. Well, although I will say there's a lot of people in first response and like policing with mustaches. So it's not which is funny. Like the movie Super Troopers, how they all have mustaches.
Yes.
Like that's a real thing. Like cops have mustaches, paramedics and firefighters, they have mustaches, which is weird. But, when in Rome, I guess.
Yeah. Not on topic, but I think they're bringing that back for another sequel.
Oh yeah. Yeah. They just finished. They just wrapped on the, I think they just wrapped or they started filming part 3.
Okay.
Yeah. Super Troopers 3.
Yeah. Fantastic.
It's good. They're good. They're funny.
So do I need to trim my beard up?
Well, we got to wait till November, but I think you're going to have to, Skip, because otherwise you just have a beard. It's going to have to be.
Yeah.
If we're going to do this, if we're going to do this right, hey, you do as you please. If you want to keep the beard, you keep the beard. But I don't want to be the only asshole with a prominent mustache. So
fair enough.
I'm going to have my mustache and a shorter beard. I mean, I like to keep the beard small anyway because there's so much gray now. I'm looking at it. If I grew it out, it'd be like, man, that's
very distinguished.
No, thank you.
Distinguished.
I wanted the Reed Richards like side gray, which started coming in, and then I think the stress just started spreading the gray out. But so I've got the little silver fox on the side of my temples, but I also got gray everywhere else now too. Right. Anyway, so Movember, you grow a mustache for the month of November for awareness of specifically prostate cancer, testicular cancer, and suicide among men. And this morning I did a little dive, and I'm not going to lie, I did this with ChatGPT, but I will say everything I've read medically for ChatGPT has never been wrong. It's when you do numbers like that, I've found it's been pretty useful. So if you'll bear with me for a second, I'll pull up my little chat.
Sure. Here. And while you're looking up that chat, for the people out there that can't grow a mustache, there are other ways to participate in Movember. They've branched out, and there's pledging to run or walk 60K, I think, during the week. And that's to represent the 60 men that die per hour of preventable suicide.
Okay. I didn't realize that. That's what the 60K is from. Okay.
Yeah. And there's also challenges, like unique challenges, the kind that I would do when I was younger, that, you can just post and things like that. And obviously you can go to Movember.com and you can actually register, you can donate, and you can try and get other people to do so, form a team. Maybe we'll form a team and we'll announce it in the future, and people can join our team on Movember.
Hey, you know what? I'm down to walk, or not walk. I was gonna attempt to run. No. I'm not gonna attempt. I'm going to run 60 kilometers for the month of November, mostly on a treadmill probably, but we'll see. We'll see how that goes. But it's doable. It's hard. That's going to be hard to do. But
yeah,
especially because I haven't been running. But yeah, I'm pledging right here on outside the Manosphere that I'm going to run 60 kilometers for the month of November. Now that I know it's for the 60 men per hour.
Yeah, I probably won't run because of my sciatica, but I will surely roller skate and walk more than 60 kilometers without even trying. Being that I'm in Europe, the walking will be without question.
Yeah, man, I do miss that. But anyway, that is another reiteration on this isn't strict. Like, you can make up your own challenges and have fun with it. I guess for this little bit of Movember coverage here, I thought maybe in the next maybe 3 episodes we can talk about, and this one we'll talk about maybe prostate cancer, maybe we can talk about testicular cancer, and then lastly we could talk about suicide. If you're down, I mean, we can lump it all in.
I can hardly imagine anything more fun.
Okay, cancer and suicide. And if you're not interested, we'll still be making fart jokes, I'm sure. So
yeah.
Okay. Prostate cancer is a type of cancer that begins in the prostate gland, which is something that only men have. It's a small walnut-shaped gland that produces seminal fluid, which nourishes and transports sperm. Symptoms of that would be, it grows slowly in men, usually for years, and sometimes doesn't even require treatment, and that's it metastasizes to other organs or your bones or whatever. Symptoms could be difficulty starting or stopping urination, or having a weak flow, blood in the urine or semen, pelvic discomfort, bone pain if it spreads, and erectile dysfunction. I believe also urinating often is one too. It didn't pop up in this one, but I think if you're peeing a lot, that could potentially be. I think it applies pressure to the bladder if it's engorged or something like that.
I think that one's a little harder to tell once you're over 40. It just
yeah. I mean, I've been peeing a lot since I was in my 20s. So, and that also, I mean, just to like anybody listening, or I guess any women listening, because I think that's probably who's going to be paying attention to this. But you can tell your man or your partner, whoever, if they're peeing a lot, it doesn't necessarily, because I pee a ton, I guess you do too, and I've always done that. That could be like diabetes, that could be just small bladder. It doesn't necessarily mean you have cancer, for God's sake. Don't freak out. Like, it's not any of these symptoms. Don't freak out. If you have difficulty urinating, that could be a urinary tract infection, which should be checked out, but doesn't mean it's cancer. You know what I mean? It's not. You don't have to freak out by any of these symptoms if you've got them.
Yeah, and I pee a lot. Folks at home, mostly because I drink like 5 liters of liquid a day. I just drink a lot. Yeah. So
mine's purely psychological. Purely psychological. All right. So worldwide, according to this extensive research that I've done on ChatGPT, about 1.5 million new cases of prostate cancer are diagnosed every year, making it one of the most common cancers among men. In the U.S., there's a 2025 estimate around 300,000 new cases. I'm rounding up. It was 299,000. And about 35,000 deaths annually. In Canada, it's about 25,000 and about 4,000 deaths per year. It says roughly 1 in 8 men will be diagnosed with prostate cancer during their lifetime, and most of the cases are not life-threatening, though. Risk factors, they sharply increase after 50. If you have a family history of it, like having a father or brother with prostate cancer, it doubles your risk. And race has a role in this, apparently. People of African heritage. It says black men. I'm assuming African. I mean, I guess it could be like Northern Africa as well. I don't know, but it says black men. And I guess I knew that. I don't know the biology behind that or as to why, but at least in the U.S., that's the thing. Diet and lifestyle are also risk factors. So high-fat diets, all that meat that these people are eating, and low physical activity may increase the risk. Diagnosis and screening. In the past, and it's still done, but in the past, they would do what was called DRE, or unless it's like DRE. I don't know, but it says DRE, which is, you get a DRE, bro. You just go in and get your DRE, which stands for digital rectal exam. You go to the DRE doctor. I got a funny story for that, which is not my story, but I'm going to tell it anyway now that I know my mother doesn't listen to this. But real quick, the DRE is a digital rectal exam, and a doctor feels the prostate. It's that typical, like, you got a drop trowel, and they actually feel your prostate gland. And they're feeling for lumps or hardness or irregular shapes. So the story is, This is my stepfather's story, which I'm sure he wouldn't be happy me telling the story, but it's funny. I'm going to tell it anyway.
So nice of you to identify him too.
So he went to his doctor for his prostate exam, and she was a very small woman. And she said, and my mother was there. My mother actually told me this story, but she told me that the doctor said, well, I have good news and bad news. The bad news is it's time for your prostate exam. And she goes, the good news is, and she put her hand up. She was like, I have little fingers.
Oh, that's great.
So that's the DRE. That's the kind of the classic when you think of getting your prostate exam. That's what that is. Nowadays, they have what's called a PSA, which is a prostate-specific antigen. It's a blood test. So they test your blood for a specific antigen in your blood. So if you have high amounts of it, it could indicate cancer, but it could also indicate an infection or inflammation or just a benign enlargement. But again, there's ways of being tested. If like your holdout has been like, well, I don't want a doctor's finger up my ass, like that's understandable.
Well, that's just selfish of you. No, it's prostate specific antigen. Or prostate, not prostate. Prostate specific antigen,
Yeah. They check for levels of that in a blood test. So you can now have your blood drawn. And Mark Maron, he's a comedian. He also had a podcast that he just ended after X amount of years. He had a really funny story that I heard on another podcast where he went for a prostate exam and he was like, oh, is it now the time where you're going to like put your finger up my ass? And he's like, oh, we don't do that anymore. We do a PSA. And he was uncomfortable with that. He was like, I feel like taking a blood test.
I've missed a rite of passage.
Well, I don't know if it was a rite of passage, but he was like, I feel like getting your hands on it and like feeling for like a deformity is much clearer than like a blood test, which in many ways, I suppose he's right. And the doctor says, well, would you feel more comfortable if I gave you the DRE exam? He's like, well, yeah, I guess I would. So he actually requested the old style because it would put him at ease.
Cool. Yeah.
The doctor's like, great. I guess I'm gonna do that.
It's just like, it's nice to get back into this. It's been a while. So I'll give you a little story. So I thought, and I think they've moved this back over the years, partly because of that PSA and partly because, as you said, the risk increases over 50. And I think they've resolved that to over 50. But for a long time, it was over 40. So you were supposed to get one at 40. And I went into the doctor when I was around 40. And, I wasn't like itching for one. I was kind of like, I should probably do this, and so I was like, do I need to get a
did you wear cologne? And
no, I didn't think it would happen that day, and it didn't. But I was asking, I was like, should I, I'm 40, I've never had I'm 40, I think I was older than that. I'm like 42, 43, should I have this done? They're like, no, we're going to do this blood test. It'll tell us if there's anything on there. You don't start doing that till 45. And then I went to the doctor recently and I was like, well, I'm 45. Should I do this? And then she was like, no. In the Czech Republic, because a friend of mine was pushing me to do it, an old friend from the US. And he was like, I just had mine done and it was uncomfortable. And I gather that he had the DRE method. And he was like, it was not fun, but it's a good thing to do and you should go do it. And I was like, all right. So I bugged my doctor about it. And they were like, oh no, you don't get it done till you're 50 and in the Czech Republic. And I wrote him back and I was like, and he was like, oh, it's so nice to hear that men don't get cancer till they're 50 and you're in Czech Republic.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was able to get around. I've so far been able to get around the DRE. I think I've had the PSA.
I think the DRE is only necessary. Well, there's a couple times from what I had read. It's necessary if they find like high levels of what is a prostate specific antigen in your blood, and then they're like, well, okay, maybe we'll get in there and
it's like a follow up.
Yeah. But the other thing was at 40. So men at high risk get it. Historically, whether they have family history or if they're Black or if they have a specific mutation in their blood, that's when the age of 40 is more relevant than anything else. And then age 50 and older, that's when that's just the standard. You get it in every couple of years after that. But I don't think you need to do it. Well, I don't know, whatever. The science has changed since back in the day. But from what I read, at 40, you get it if there's a history in your family, or if you meet all the markers that you should, and otherwise you're good. You're good to go until 50. I mean, I guess you can do it before then if you have like a fear. I mean, the doctor has to approve it. I don't think they can just like do these tests if they don't feel like it's necessary. But I don't know. Just listen to your doctor. So after you've been screened, and let's say they find something, they'll do a prostate MRI to spot abnormal areas, or they'll take a biopsy, or both, which is tissue they take from the actual prostate and examine it for cancer. And then there's something called a Gleason score. I'm not quite sure what that is. I guess they're going to determine how aggressive cancer cells are in the prostate. So that's essentially it, man. They'll check and see if it's spread. Like if you have cancer, if you have even the cells for it, they'll check and see how far it's gone, if it's gone anywhere at all.
Yeah. The Gleason score, by the way, is just it's a grading system for predicting how aggressive the cancer is likely to be.
Right. Okay, good. Thanks. Treatment options, if for low risk or slow growing, they might just have you wait, and they'll watch, and they'll treat if they have to. Otherwise, you might just be living for some time with what you got, and it's not necessarily going to be dangerous for you. Surgery is another one. They can actually remove the entire prostate. They're all and surrounding lymph nodes if necessary. That could create urinary incontinence, which means if you won't be able to control when you urinate. Which
I imagine they give you a bag for that, so you don't actually piss yourself all the time.
No, Well, I don't think you'll get a bag for that, honestly, because you can't wear a catheter all the time, and you'll probably, I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but I imagine it's more of like a diaper situation that you'll just have to wear one of those. Otherwise, they'll be puncturing your body and then like diverting your bladder into a bag outside your body. And like, to me, I'd rather wear a diaper. I mean, rather than having that invasive procedure that you have to keep clean and change, and like it's an issue. So that's surgery. You can also have erectile dysfunction, potentially. You don't necessarily will have urinary incontinence. You won't necessarily have erectile dysfunction, but those are possible side effects to removing your prostate. I also imagine that would affect your sperm as well. I don't know if you'll still be fertile, or if it would be just less like viscous, or I don't know how that would affect your sperm at all.
I mean, I assume because you said that produces sperm.
It produces the fluid that the sperm like travels in, from what I understand.
So if you got a vasectomy and your prostate removed, you'd just be shooting dust. That's what you're telling me.
Or shooting nothing at all. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay. Well, all of that sounds like a really good reason to get your prostate, your PSA checked when you're
have a look. Yeah. Have a look. Yeah. And that's pretty much it. Chemotherapy, radiation therapy, hormone therapy, immunotherapy. Prognosis for that, it's highly treatable if they find it. The 5-year survival rate is like 100%. But if it's spread, it gets much less than that. So you got to catch it early. But yeah, get your stuff checked. It's not that big a deal. You can get it with a blood test. If your concern has been the violation at the doctor's office, it does not have to be that way anymore. And also medically, like you can say no to that stuff. Like, give me the blood test. That's all I want to do. If they insist on like the DRE, you can be like, I don't want that. And they can't force you.
Yeah.
They can't force you to do that if you don't want to do it. So just go get your blood test. It's not that big a deal. Or go talk to your doctor at least, and they can tell you when the appropriate time for that is.
Yeah, it certainly sounds a lot more pleasant than a lot of the things that you described that could happen if you're not paying attention.
Absolutely. Yeah. So tune in next time for testicular cancer.
Woo! So I'd like to ask you a question. Sometimes we get to ask each other questions that are not from the falling in love questions, just to find out more about each other.
But somehow it makes me fall in love more, Skip.
Exactly. Yeah. This is, I believe, what they call conversation. We have talked extensively, not extensively, but we've talked a bit about your travels. And I was curious about, one or two of your favorite places that you've traveled to, not lived, but some of your favorite places that you've traveled.
Okay. So very quickly, I'll say, because I traveled to it first before I lived there, but I will say, that's what I'll say very quickly. San Francisco is the greatest place in North America. I loved it. I love the atmosphere. I love the geography, the geology. I love the weather, even though it was horrible. I love San Francisco. And if I could the bread, the rice, if I could live there and afford there, I'd be there. It's an awesome place. So, but when I first got there, I was 20, and I was there for about 4 days. I was just passing through, and I'm like, I'm going to live here one day. Like, this place is fucking awesome. And yeah, mark that off my bucket list because I did for just about a year, but exactly a year actually. So that's one. I will say the first thing that pops into my head though was Utah. I really just the way, I mean, just the countryside of the southern part of Utah was absolutely beautiful. It's just gorgeous there. I haven't been there since I was 20, but I'm assuming all the rocks are the same. And I thought it was beautiful. And then Vancouver, Canada. When I got there, I was also in my 20s. I was 20, and I was there for about 3 months. And dude, I just fell in love with Vancouver. It was the coolest place. You have the mountains there. You have the ocean there. It was just the vibe was great. And I did a lot of living there. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of a turning point in my life there. I loved it. So. Yeah, I guess for the sake of brevity, I'd say San Francisco. These are cities, not even places necessarily. San Francisco and Vancouver, and then I really loved the countryside in Utah. It was just a really, really pretty place.
Well, I will second 2 of those. Yeah, I always grew up. My family would go to San Francisco every year to go Christmas shopping. We wouldn't really Christmas shop there, but we'd go down to Pier 39 and walk around and get blue chip cookies and la 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 la. And yeah, I always had a very romantic spot in my heart for San Francisco, but never got to live there. Southern Utah's just gorgeous. It's just a gorgeous state. It's kind of like, if you don't already know that, you're blown away when you go there.
Yeah.
And I've always wanted to go to Vancouver, but I've never been. So
you know what? It's been 25 years for me. I'm assuming it's still awesome, but I can't say. It's been a long time, but it was beautiful at the time. I highly recommend going, assuming it's as wonderful as it was back in the day. Even despite all of its, there were some negative things there as well. a lot of drugs there. Okay, I have a question for you that is very different from your question. I hope it's not too personal for a microphone, but
well, we will see.
I would like to know how old you were and who, if you don't have to name her if you don't want to, or him for all I know. Who was your first crush?
First crush.
Yeah, and how old are you?
Yeah, it really depends on what you mean by a crush, right? Like,
I guess my question would be like when your heart was a flutter. You know what I mean? Because I had crushes, like little crushes here and there, but like your first big crush.
Sure, first big crush. Let's see. It was probably actually my first girlfriend. I remember being in math class in high school and like even talking with another guy, like we'd talk in very cool ways through the graphing calculator because you could type on them.
So it's really cool ways is what you're saying.
It was very cool. Yeah. So we'd type messages back and forth and we both liked the same girl, this person that I was passing the calculator back and forth. And yeah, and I thought she liked me, and I eventually found out she did. And we started going out. But yeah, she was probably my first crush and my first love ultimately. Unless you count Julia Roberts, who was definitely who definitely had a place in my heart for a great many years when I was younger.
Was that from Pretty Woman or from something else?
No, it's just kind of from everything. I thought she was a charismatic, bright red hair. I just something about her just got me.
Well, she's a knockout. That's probably
she
a
is,
big part of it. Yeah.
So, but yeah, that these things subside in age, and yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So freshman year, sophomore year.
It was sophomore year. Okay. Yeah. Freshman year, I was a very overweight, moody person with long purple hair at the beginning of the year. And I lost 50 pounds and gained 6 inches of height over the course of the year. So I completely changed who I was, but I didn't do that until like the latter half of the year. I didn't have a lot of interaction going on with ladies at that point.
Yeah. Well, but you had identity because like having long hair and coloring it, that was like, I didn't have that sort of, not even bravery. I just didn't even have that sort of like creativity in my freshman year. It wasn't until high school or sophomore year that I kind of like had my own sort of identity. But it sounds like you're a good year ahead of me.
It is possible. I don't know.
Sounds like it. Yeah. I always thought you kids were cool because, I mean, you weren't obviously with your calculators, but
no, I wasn't. I was not cool in my freshman year in high school. Yeah. Well, not till I kind of, it wasn't because I lost weight that I got cool. It was because losing weight kind of unchained my personality. I was just much more boisterous in who I was. I was a new school. I didn't know anybody, and a lot of people in this small town had grown up with each other since kindergarten. Right. So between that and being sort of like, described literally by friends later in the year as the big scary kid, it allowed me to kind of just like become myself a lot more. And in high school, once I lost weight and kind of got over my social nervousness, I really flourished for a long time. But that was kind of the beginning of it. Wrestling saved my life.
Well, yours was positive because you found wrestling. I found weed, and weed helped me. Weed gave me like this false sense of identity, and I just fully embraced that and was like, I'm a stoner. Like, that's my thing.
Yeah.
And of course, all the burnout shit that comes along with that, especially at that age, is what happened to me. So yours at least was a really, you went in a very positive direction, and mine was not. But anyway, we both came out of our various tribulations,
stupors.
Yeah. All right, Skip. Well, we're coming to the end of this, and as always, I would like to know what your joys are this week.
Well, my joy this week was Signal Fest, and do you recall Signal Fest? I don't know.
Yes, unless I don't recall the name, but I'm 99% sure what it is. Go on.
So this is a sort of city-wide light and sound festival, but largely light. And there's art installations around. And over the years, it's gotten a lot busier, and there's definitely things to complain about if you were looking for those. But one of the highlights for me is almost every year, what was for a long time our local metro stop, Náměstí Míru, does laser mapping, and they project onto this old church and do these amazing displays and art. And it's just very cool. This year they had it like going through like civilization. So they're projecting on the front of this big church, and you get images that are reminiscent of like Sumeria, and then it goes through all these incarnations, and they also play with the facade and how it looks and and make it look like it's moving and doing things, and it goes through cities, and then it gets moss covered, and it's just kind of like telling a story, but it's also just very, very cool visually. And it's always one of the highlights of living in Prague for me is getting to go to some of these art installations. And so I'll send a video to you, and I'll post a video.
Definitely worth looking at. Yeah.
Yeah, they do other video mappings in town. There was one on the astronomical clock, which was pretty cool. And then some of the other ones were kind of like, oh, okay, but they can't all be winners. But yeah, it was real fun. And as the kids get older, it's nicer in some ways to go around with them. Although our little guy is still a little short for some things, so we have to like pick him up at times. But yeah, it's always a fun thing. It's always something that we look forward to, and the show was great this year.
Oh, cool. So yeah, I remember there were quite a few of them all over town, and like one of the things that I really liked about it, you were describing a sort of like, a story being projected onto the cathedral. Mm-hmm. But one of the things that I always appreciated was, and maybe there was some of that as well when you were describing the moss, they would use like the existing architecture of the building and just sort of put a facelift on it. And it's like a totally different building. And they would like, I thought that was really, really neat the way they would do that. It's just light projection. And they were all different. I don't know what organizations do them, but I always thought that was really, really cool.
And in my opinion, the best ones are the ones that make use of the facade and play with it visually. It's really, really cool. Because otherwise, why not just project on something else? But they do a lot of things with those, and it's fun. So what's your joy this week? And it doesn't have to have lasers or anything.
I got a couple. There are no lasers, I don't think, but I got a couple, and I'll be brief. I'll try. One is, well, first so Movember I'm excited about. Like that's a reflexive joy that I hadn't thought about at all. until this morning when I saw that you added it to our notes. And I'm going to run the 60K, I think. Not all at once, but nice. I'm going to, for the month of November, I'm going to do, I'm going to stop saying try. I'm going to do 60K. And yeah, that's fun. I'm looking forward to participating in Movember for the first time since its inception. And I've wanted to for a long time. I just never have. So that's something I'm looking forward to. Another joy is I've had a document that I've had for a couple of years now of remote viewing targets. Like, because you're supposed to, when you do the remote viewing, I'll do a quick explanation, is when you sort of divine information on a subject that you can't possibly see with your senses. So you're sitting in a room and you're trying to determine what's inside the box in the other room. It's a psychic thing. And you're not supposed to know what you're looking at. Like, that's the only way it works, is if you don't know what you're looking at. So part of the problem that I've had is I don't have, like, there are target pools online where you can go in there and like click on a link when you're ready to see what the target is. And then you can see how well you did divining what it is. But I get bored of that. And after a while, depending on who created the target pool, you kind of get a feel for what they're interested in. And you kind of get a feel for their, what it might be. And it colors how you're
feels like cheating. Yeah.
It's not even cheating. It's just like, it wrecks the whole thing, because you're like, okay, this might be military because I know this guy was military. Sure. So what I've done is, for the past couple of years, I've been like, I've got about 500 targets. And also most of these target pools, I'd say all the target pools, won't do anything woo-woo. They're not going to target you with a UFO, for example, because there's no way of verifying it. You can't tell if if you're right or wrong, because you can't verify that. But I already believe in this shit, so I don't need things to be verified. So what I've done for the past couple of years, I've been accumulating targets. And so some of my targets are like the footprints at Laetoli in Kenya. Like, they were made by Australopithecus afarensis, like early humans. They weren't human. They were like upright chimpanzees that had the same bone structure as we did, and they made tools and shit. But they left footprints, like in volcanic ash. Yeah. And it's solidified and it turned to stone, and they're still there.
Very cool.
Millions of years ago, this group walked through there for quite some ways, left their footprints. And I am, for example, am targeting myself with that. So I'd like to know who they were. I'd like to know about their culture. I'd like to know about what they were doing, where they were going, if they were a family. Like, I want to know all that stuff. And once you get good at remote viewing, you can do all that. Now, I can't verify that any of it's true, but if I don't know what I'm looking at, and I'm describing this stuff, that's the best you can do. Like, well, I was describing like a familial relationship. I was describing like a hunger. I was describing like a journey. So, I mean, the best I can do is say, well, that's probably as accurate as anybody will ever get in in the world. So I'm randomized. I've got about 500 of them that I've accumulated over the years, and I've just started randomizing them. So like, I won't know what they are once I present it to myself to remote view. So I know that went on way too long, but that's one of my joys. Last joy, a little more down to earth. Jody and I went to the beach yesterday. It's about an hour away, and I've been meaning to do it for years. And I collected a bunch. It's like a rocky beach, and I collected a bunch of rocks that are cool, because I'm a bit of a rock hound, and some of them are really like cool rocks that are like interesting looking. I'm going to buy some mineral oil, and I'm going to like color them up with the oil, so it really makes the color differences pop. And it was really therapeutic, man. It was like the ocean was just like swishing, and Jody had gone off. She was collecting sticks for her macrame stuff. And so I was by myself, and the tide is coming and going, and it was a cool day, and I was just like looking at rocks, which is something I've enjoyed doing my entire life, and it was really, really nice. I don't know why we've waited 8 years to do something like that, and that was like a legit, just good fucking time for me. I really enjoyed myself, and I can't wait to do it again. So that's a joy for me.
Yeah, it sounds like a really, really nice day.
Yeah, it was really, really nice.
And for those of you wondering at home, what 60K is, that's like 37.3 miles.
So it is a run, which is why I won't do it all at once, because that's too much for me anyway. People do it, but yeah. So yeah, you got anything else?
No, man. Just it's nice to talk to you. Nice to see your smiling face.
Hey, back at you, bro. Thanks for joining us. New podcast every Wednesday. And if any part of the show has resonated with you, let us know at outsidethemanosphere@gmail.com, Instagram, Facebook, and now YouTube. Please like, rate, subscribe to the podcast, YouTube channel, or recommend us to a friend. We hope you'll come back.
Come on back. And if you have any stories about DRE, feel free to send them our way.
I'd love to hear them. Yeah, they can be private or public, whatever you like.
Yeah, all these Manosphere men eating the all meat diet with getting that big ol' prostate cancer.
So big ol' prostate cancer.
Big ol' prostate cancer.
Well, that's what I think. That's literally what it is. They're getting a big old prostate.
You can cut however much of that you want.
I said, we'll be keeping all of that. All right.